Okay, so 2019, paper 1, question 4. So solve for x. You can see here we've algebraic fractions, and there's a number of different ways we could do this. We could get the same denominator for everything, and if it has the same denominator for everything, we could just ignore the denominator and just work with the numerators. Or else we could turn this into a single fraction, and if we have a fraction equals a fraction, we can cross multiply. There's a number of different ways we can do it. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to turn it into a single fraction and cross multiply. So common denominator here. So the common denominator here, we'll just write out 3x plus 1 all over 5 plus x minus 2 all over 2 is equal to 47 all over 10. Okay, so just write out the question to start with. Next, I need to get a common denominator. So I'm going to get a denominator of 10. Okay. Okay, so I need to look and see how did I turn the number 5 there into 10, and how I turned that into 10 was I times it by 2. Okay. So if I times the denominator by 2, I have to times the numerator by 2 in order to keep it equivalent. So 2 lots of 3x will be 6x. And 2 lots of 1 will be 1. Okay? I'm now going to look at the second fraction. And how did I turn that into 10? I times the denominator by 5. If I times the denominator by 5, I have to times the numerator by 5 to keep it equivalent. So 5 times x will be 5x. And 5 times minus 2 will be minus 10. And that's equal to 47 all over 10. Okay. You can see here now, I've got 2 fractions with the same denominator. So if I have 2 fractions with the same denominator, I can turn it into a single fraction. So I'm going to do that. So 6x plus 2 plus 5x minus 10 all divided by 10 is equal to 47 divided by 10. So I'll tidy that up. Keep the x's together. So let's just get those 2 x's together there. So 6x and 5x will give me 11x. Plus 2, take away 5, leaves us with minus 8. All over 10 is equal to 47 all over 10. Okay? So, at this stage, we could cross multiply, but if you look at it, if we're dividing this side by 10 and we're dividing that side by 10, we can get rid of the divide by 10. So if we multiply both sides by 10, we'll get 11x minus 8 is equal to 47. So all I did there is I multiplied this side by 10 to get rid of the 10, and I multiplied this side by 10 to get rid of the 10. So if 11x minus 8 is equal to 47, I want to find the value for x. So 11x will be equal to 47, and I'm going to add 8, because I'm moving that 8 across. So if that comes over here, it changes from a negative to a positive. So that will give us 11x is equal to 47 plus 8, and 47 plus 8 is going to be 50. What is 47 plus 8? So plus 3, 55. So to find out what x is, we divide both sides by 11. And if we divide both sides by 11, we'll get x equals 5. And that year, had you got that correct, there was 10 marks going for that part of the question. So part B. In part B, we can see we've got a simultaneous equation. We've got a linear equation here, and we've got a quadratic equation here. So there's 2 ways this can come up in the leave insert. It can come up as 2 linear equations, or else it can come up as linear and a quadratic. Okay. In this case, it's come up as a linear and a quadratic. So in order to solve this, what we need to do is we need to take the linear equation and we need to rearrange it. So we're going to start off there by changing that to x is equal to negative 13 plus 5y. Okay, so you can see there all I've done is I've taken the negative 5y over to the right hand side, and now I've got x is equal. Okay, the reason how that helps me is because for the second equation, if I put in this here instead of x, okay, then I'll have numbers, y's, and y's equals numbers. So I'd have all y's in my second equation. If I have all y's, then I'll be able to solve it. Okay, so we'll continue on there. So we'll take the second equation, which was x squared plus y squared equals 13. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to change that to, instead of putting x in there, I'm going to put in what x is equal to. So I'll just highlight that to make it easier for people to see what's happening. So instead of putting in x, I'm going to put in the value for x. Okay, so minus 13 plus 5y all to be squared plus y squared will be equal to 13. Okay, so I haven't actually changed anything. Everything has the same value. I've just wrote it differently, and the reason why I wrote it differently is because now I can deal with all the y's and I can form a quadratic and solve the quadratic to get a value for y. Okay, so let's expand that. So negative 13 plus 5y all to be squared is the same as saying negative 13 plus 5y times negative 13 plus 5y plus y squared is plus y squared is equal to 13. So you can see there again, I'll just highlight this again. All I've done there is I've expanded that. Because it's squared, it's the same as multiplying it by itself. Okay, so because it's squared, it's the same as multiplying it by itself. Everything else has stayed the same. Okay, next thing we need to do is we need to expand that. So in order to expand that, it's just expanding double brackets. So I'll take the negative 13 and I'll multiply it by everything in the second. So that's the first term by everything in the second, plus the second, so plus 5y by negative 13 plus 5y plus y squared is equal to 13. Okay, so you can see there what I've done is I've taken the first term, multiplied it by everything in the second, taken the second term, multiplied it by everything in the second. And obviously my plus y and my plus 13 still stay where they are. So next thing I need to do is I need to work out what they are. So if I have negative 13 times negative 13, that'll give us positive 169. Okay. So that's the first two multiplied together. Negative 13 times positive 5 will give me a negative, and it'll be 65y. Okay. Next two, so plus 5y times negative 13 is going to give me a negative 65y. And the plus 5y times the positive 5y will give us 25. So a positive 25y squared plus y squared equals 13. Okay, so now you can see we're almost ready to start tidying things up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect all the like terms. So we collect all the y squares. So they'll all come first, the y squares. So I put them together. So 25y squared plus 1y squared will be the first part. So that will be 26y squared. Next, you need to collect all of the y's. So minus 65y leaves me with negative 130y. So negative 130y. And then we have the 169 there, so we'll put that back in. Now what I need to do is I need to leave it equal to 13. And you know there that we're able to solve that, we're able to bring that 13 across. So 26y squared minus 130y plus 169 minus 13 will be equal to 0. So when we tidy that up, we'll get 26y squared minus 130y, and that's going to give us a plus 56, 156 even. And that'll be equal to 0. So now we need to look at it. and we need to see, can we simplify this anyway? So we need to look and see is there any number that divides into these terms. And it's kind of trial and error, but if you just get your calculator, you can check there and see. And we can see that 26 actually divides into each of these numbers there. So 26 divides into y squared. 26 divides into y squared, so we'll be left with just y squared minus 5y plus 6 equals 0. Okay, so you can see there 26 goes into that, so I'm left with just 1. 5 lots of 26 go into that, so I'm left with the negative 5. And 6 lots of 26 go into that, so that's why I'm left with the positive 6 there. Okay, I've now got a quadratic equation, and you should be able to solve quadratic equations. And how we solve them is we get the factors of 6, okay? So we can start there by getting the factors of 6. So, the factors of 6. So, the factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Okay, so you need to look at those factors and you need to think, I need to take these factors and I need to make a negative 5y out of it, okay? So when I times them, they have to give me a positive 6. But when I add them, I have to get a negative 5. So in this case, we'll end up with y squared. We'll have minus 2y minus 3y plus 6 equals 0. And if we just look at that, when we add them together, we'll get minus 5y, so we know that's correct. When we times them, we'll get 6, so we know that's correct. We now have 4 terms, and we're factorising. So if you have 4 terms and you're factorising, what you need to do is you need to group those terms. So we'll group the first 2, and we'll group the last 2. And now we need to take out the common factor. So the common factor in the first 2 terms there is going to be equal to y. So I'll have y minus 2 in the brackets. And the common factor for the second 2 terms is going to be equal to minus 3. So I'll end up there with y minus 2 equals 0. Okay. The next step there is just because these two are the same. Okay, so because these two have the same value, the brackets are the same, we're doing the opposite to expanding. So what we'll do is we'll pull the y minus 3 together. So y minus 3 times y minus 2 is equal to 0. And you can see there that's the opposite to expanding. If I was going to expand this, I'd say y multiplied by y minus 2 minus 3 multiplied by y minus 2. So I should be able to do that if I'm able to expand brackets. So from that I know that y minus 3 is equal to 0, or y minus 2 is equal to 0. So that tells me that y must be equal to 3, or y must be equal to 2. So I now have my 2 y values. So now I need to go and find my 2 x. So now find x. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to take the original equation, which was x minus 5y is equal to minus 13. So x minus 5y is equal to, and that is negative 13. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in the value that I just found. So in this case, I'm going to put 3 in for y. Okay, so that'll give me x minus 5 times 3 is equal to negative 13. So x minus 15 is equal to negative 13. So x will be equal to negative 13 plus 15. So x will be equal to 2. Okay. I need to do the same for my second value. So I found my second value for y. So x minus 5y is equal to minus 13. And obviously instead of y, this time I can put in 2. Okay. So x minus 5 times 2 is equal to negative 13. So x minus 10 is equal to minus 13. So x will be equal to negative 13 plus 10. So x will be equal to negative 3. So my answer there for my final answer for that. So the x value of 2 will give me a y value. You can see that there. The x value of 2 gives me a y value of 3. And the x value of negative 3 gives me a y value of 2. So negative 3 and 2. And in the 2019 paper, that there was worth 15 marks.